What's going on, guys? My name is Austin Zaback, and in today's video we're going to be talking about how you can become a millionaire with just $10 a day. To some people, $10 a day might be a decent amount of money, and to other people it is not a lot of money at all. When you really think about it, you could pass on that fast food meal for lunch, and you could also pass on the coffee on the way to work. The average American spends $3 at Starbucks, and I can imagine with all the young people watching this video, that number probably looks a lot more like $5 with all the crazy things that you can order at Starbucks. If you simply just packed a lunch and you didn't get that cup of coffee, you would save $10 at a minimum right there alone. You've probably never thought that $10 was a very important amount of money, but I'm going to show you how you can literally become financially free and become a millionaire by investing and saving that $10 instead of spending it. People are dreaming about becoming financially free and a millionaire on a day-to-day basis, and they're trying to figure out a way to do it that doesn't take more than one lifetime. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. I'm going to talk about the 5 key things that you're going to want to take into consideration when investing or saving that $10 to become a millionaire. Did you know the average American spends $160 a day, which equals $60,000 a year? All I'm saying is you take $10, a fraction of the $160 you're already spending, and you take that, you save it, and you invest, and then you can become a millionaire. So you're probably wondering, should you save the $10 or should you invest the $10? And really the answer to that question is you've got to do a little bit of both. So far in the video, I've been talking a lot about saving that $10, but to be brutally honest with you, your average American is never going to save their way to becoming a millionaire. But if that's the case, then why do so many people talk about saving money? I mean, you have guys like Dave Ramsey that preaches every single day to save your money. But if you can't save your way to becoming wealthy, then what are they really talking about? In very simple terms, the reason that it can't be done is because of a little thing called inflation. And if you're not careful, inflation can really nip you in the butt and totally prevent you from ever becoming a millionaire, let alone financially independent. Inflation, in a nutshell, is the quantitative measure of the rate at which the average price level of a basket of selected goods and services in an economy increases over some period of time. It is the rise in the general level of prices where a unit of currency effectively buys less than it did in prior periods. Often expressed as a percentage, inflation thus indicates a decrease in the purchasing power of a nation's currency. So you may or may not have understood what that meant, so I'll just go ahead and break it down for you. Depending on how old you are watching right now, you probably remember at one point in your life gas prices being like $1. I was at my grandparents' house the other day, and they were actually telling me a story about how when they were growing up, gas prices were 19 cents a gallon. So over the course of time, things like gas and food and travel and pretty much anything and everything goes up naturally in price over time. And when you go way back over the long haul, the average in which the inflation or the price of goods and services has gone up is about 3.22%. So really the main problem with just saving money is that over the long haul, your money actually decreases in value. Now, don't get me wrong, you still have the same amount of money in the bank, so your actual account balance isn't going to go down, but the purchasing power of that money isn't going to purchase as much goods or services as it would today. I mean, even in a high-interest savings account, you will still end up losing money. The average high-interest savings account percentage is still significantly less than the average inflation percentage. I mean, literally, most savings accounts are far less than like 1% interest. And again, that is like if you have a really, really good savings account that you'll ever get above 1% in interest. So look, the reality of this situation is that if you eventually want to become a millionaire, you want to become financially independent, you're not going to save your way there. You might, okay, you just might be able to become a millionaire at some point in your life by just smashing the like button. Now, to be very clear, I'm not saying that every time you earn a penny, you go ahead and invest a penny and you don't keep any money at all in savings and you just take all of your money right away, right when you get your paycheck and invest it into, I don't know, something like Robinhood or something like TD Ameritrade or maybe even real estate because, well, in a nutshell, that's just not smart. You should always have an emergency fund, aka a savings account, of your living expenses from anywhere from 3 to 6 months, okay? And I recommend that in all of my other videos, so if you haven't already, again, just smash the like button and go check out some of the other videos. But now that you have your emergency fund, what I see a lot of young people do is they try to wait to pay off all of their student loan debt, their automotive debt, and even a new house loan before they ever try to invest any money. And doing so can really impact you in a negative way from achieving your actual goals. Investing is actually more important for a lot of normal, average American people than it is for the wealthy people, because in no way, shape, or form will you ever achieve that financial freedom you're looking for without investing at a younger age. At the end of the day, if you wait till you get too old without starting a business or something, the likelihood that you ever have a decent amount of money to retire on is really highly unlikely. So yes, investing is something that everybody should do, and it is not something you should just continue to put off. And one of those things that you'll get around to someday, okay? At the end of the day, investing in 2020 is essentially the same as saving was back in the 50s. So now you're ready to start investing. You figured out how to save a little bit of money every month, and you know how to put away $10 on a day-to-day basis. Now you've got to take that money and actually invest it. So as we talked about, saving $10 a day is not very hard at all, and there's a lot of different ways that you can cut costs out of your budget and save your money, okay? At the end of the day, coffee and packing a lunch are a couple of them, but there are plenty more that I'm sure if you just go through your bank account, you'll find that you don't actually need. One thing that I personally like to do that saves me a ton of money is driving my old Prius that I bought for like $7,000. And at the end of the day, I continue to drive that thing day after day and just put a ton of miles on it, and I end up saving a lot of money. And for me, since I'm always in real estate driving around a lot, whether I'm looking at an investment property or driving clients around, I end up actually saving a significant amount of money rather than driving some expensive car, which, trust me when I say, I've done in the past and it was not a smart decision. Almost like when you're young and your parents tell you not to touch the stove because it's hot, but you do it anyways, and you burn yourself, and then you realize that you're never gonna do that again. Another really effective way to figure out how to save a little bit more money so that you can start investing is just to prioritize what it is that you spend your money on. And when you look at it and when you're about to purchase it, just ask yourself, is it something that you really need, or is it something that you want? Okay, so now you've got your $300 in that first month and you're ready to go ahead and invest it. Just remember, and we talked about it a minute ago, but investing money as early as you possibly can will be crucial to your long-term success. I'm just gonna give you a quick scenario really quick so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. For example, John goes ahead and he puts away $10 a day like we've been talking about. And he does that at the ripe age of 18 years old, and he continues to do so until he's 40. By the time John is 40 years old, he'll have roughly $80,000 just saved up. Now, that does not include him investing that in a compound interest savings account or a compound interest really anything account, and it also doesn't factor in the inflation rate. That is just saving, and as we talked, you cannot save your way to becoming a millionaire. So let's just say John, for example, is smart, and he knows that at 18 years old, he does need to invest his money because he's not going to save his way to becoming a millionaire. So John goes out and he finds a good mutual fund, he finds a good stock, a good ETF, or even potentially a good real estate investment like Fundrise that will produce a compounding interest at about 7% year after year for the next 22 years. At 40 years old, John would now have $177,749.78 thousand. Literally just investing that $10 a day, okay? That is $300 a month, and then investing another $300 a month every single month at a 7% compounding interest rate. At 40 years old, John goes ahead and he stops investing any additional money, okay? He decides that he's gonna go ahead and take the money that he's earning at his day job or whatever he does for a living, and he's just gonna go travel and buy a new car and do things like that on the earned income rather than continuing to invest the $10 a day. But he decides he's not gonna take out any additional money and he's gonna reinvest all of the profit that he makes in that account. He's basically just going to let his money sit in there and grow over time, leveraging compound interest, which a lot of people refer to as the eighth wonder of the world. At 65 years old, John has traveled and he's done everything he wanted to do on his earned income or the money that he makes while he actually is working, and he's gotten that out of his system entirely. He goes to retire at the age of 65, and John retires on a smooth $1 million. But let's just go ahead and take Jack, for example. And Jack doesn't start investing until he's 40 years old. He parties through his 20s, he parties through his 30s, and at 40 years old, he decides it's time to start investing. Very similar to John, by the time he's 67 though, he's got about $98,550 saved up. compared to John's $80,000, of course. But assuming Jack did a very similar thing, but he did it at the age of 40, he went out and found something real good he could put his money in for, on average, about 7% return on a year-by-year basis, Jack would now have, at the age of 67 years old, about $270,000. And Jack's just not going to be able to retire the way that he hoped. He worked just as hard as John, and he didn't even really get to go and do a bunch of stuff from the age of 40 to the age of 65. But at the end of the day, he's retiring on literally a quarter of the amount of money as John. And even if Jack went ahead and doubled that, but starting at 40 years old, meaning he saved $20 a day and invested $600 a month and did it till the age of 67 years old, he would still have just over $500,000 by 67, as opposed to John's just under $1 million. And John, well, for those 27 years, he really got to do what he wanted to do. And he got to take his money that he had been investing for 22 years and really get to go live his life. And he still winds up in a better situation basically every single time than Jack. This is really the importance of investing your money at a young age. If you're watching this video and you're under the age of 30 years old, I encourage you to do whatever you can to put some money aside and start investing as young as you possibly can. So how much money do you really need to go ahead and start investing? To be 100% honest with you, I don't think that the size of your paycheck has anything to do with when or how much you should start investing. You should always invest however much you are comfortable investing, of course, after you have your emergency fund and you've cut out any unadditional things that you don't need to be spending on a month-to-month basis. Even if you're earning a minimum wage, I would highly encourage you to figure out how to set some money aside on a monthly basis and begin investing it immediately. And again, only invest with what you're familiar with. So make sure that you talk to somebody or watch 1,000 other YouTube videos or whatever you got to do to figure out exactly where you're going to put your money. A third of Americans have actually no retirement savings at all, and 56% of Americans have less than $10,000 put away. Almost 40% have no savings at all, and 57% actually have less than $1,000. And your average household has about $15,270 in credit card debt, which definitely does not help at all because you're paying a heck of a high interest just keeping that debt alive. And here's where it gets even crazier. The average American with no savings at all goes out and they spend on average about $250 a month just in eating out, and out of the $250, $44 of that gets thrown away because they don't even finish their food. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the biggest reasons that most Americans wind up being broke for the majority of their life. Because being successful and being wealthy is not complicated. It's actually fairly simple. It is just about doing the very simple things very consistently, day in and day out, until you ultimately achieve the goal. To become wealthy, to become a millionaire, to have financial security or financial independence, you will probably have to live a little bit different than your family and your friends. But at the end of the day, it doesn't mean that you can't have fun, and it certainly doesn't mean you can't live a good life. It just simply means that you have to make a conscious decision not to be wasteful of the money that you spend, and take that additional money and invest it for your future family and your future self. So how can you really start investing? You're probably wanting to know that at this point in the video, and the first thing you could do is just go ahead and smash the like button, and then we'll go ahead and jump right into it. In a nutshell, and we've already really talked about it, but all you have to do is you have to set a portion of your amount of money that you make aside, and you have to delegate that to actually investing. And what you're really looking for is something that will accrue you more money over time and will outpace the actual inflation rate. And you're definitely looking for something significantly better than a high interest savings account. Although I would go ahead and get a high interest savings account for your emergency fund, you definitely don't want to use it for an investment. And really the next step is just to continue to learn about investing. Watch as many videos as you need to watch and familiarize yourself with all of the different investing strategies out there that will fit you and your lifestyle needs. At the end of the day, there's a ton of investing strategies that will literally go hand in hand with any lifestyle or anything or any person that you could possibly be. The more that you learn, the more that you'll be able to earn, okay? My mentor always told me that growing up, and I can promise you that if you figure it out and you really put your mind to it, you will learn the ways to go out and find the highest interest things possible to put your money into. So if you get started young and you put your money into the right places, you absolutely can become a millionaire in your lifetime on just as little as $10 a day. And just remember, if you want to become a multi-millionaire, all you got to do is start to double and triple and quadruple the number until you reach your target goal. You can also go the other way around, and maybe you don't want to make $1 million, but you want to retire on $500,000, then all you'll need to do is divide it by 2. That's pretty much all I have for you. Again, my name is Austin Zaback. I really appreciate you for watching the video, and if you haven't already, go ahead and just smash that like button, as it really does help me out with the YouTube algorithm. And also, if you click the Webull link down below, sign up and deposit $100, they could give you 2 free stocks valued up to $1,400. And also, if you haven't already checked out my new podcast that myself and my business partner just recently created, where we interview unique people all over the world talking about life, business, and money, make sure you definitely go check that out.